Hello. I went live? What was that? That was weird. I didn't know I was live. I was wondering what that sound was. I accidentally went live. We'll be right with you. Sound like guitar. What was that? Did you guys hear that? That was crazy. It sounded like a very loud guitar distortion. Maybe it was my maybe that was my phone. I don't know. That was. That's not good. Guitar distortion. Where does random guitar distortion come from? Alright, analysis. I didn't mean to start the stream, and I did. But anyway. Mr. Sohan just donated $50. You didn't do that. You didn't do that! $50 from Mr. Slow. Fire up the guitar solo. I still want to punch the panda for $50. Oskarovich. Oh, that's a great name. I've never heard of anyone named Oskarovich. That's cool. Mr. Sohan donated $50 to the team. The Go to World Senior Win. The Go to World Senior Win team. Alright, analysis. Mr. Slow, $50 for our subscriber stream. Thank you. We're going to Sicily. I still don't understand where that distortion came from, but I did accidentally start the stream. I'm tired. It's been a long day. My coffee is compensating. Where's my window? Properties. Properties. Here. All right, we're ready to go. Welcome, friends and enemies. What's my Sladgie subscriber analysis? The road down to 2,200, up to 2,200. Mr. Slow donating $50. Take us up to 1,200. My new rating. All right, guys. I'm gonna just be 1 second. Could a mobile phone cause like loud guitar distortion sounds on my stream? I thought it was like a commercial or something. I was like, what is that? Thanks everybody. Thanks especially to you who are subscribers for making the stream possible. Mr. Slow and others who have donated to the Sicily Fund in October. Mr. Coffee, welcome. Mr. Slow brought us up to 1,200. ABC FIGM, I saw you here, the first one to be here after Astrobate. I had an unexpected lesson today, which complicated my schedule. So, I had really no dinner break or anything. I'm working straight through since early afternoon. Okay, so I've got games for Mr. Slow. He just submitted this. Mr. Slow, what do you want to do? I mean, do you want to wait, or do you want to do your game in the early? Well, if Mr. Slow is out there, I mean, we can move his game up. Whatever's better for him. He just donated big time for the stream. I mean, you can be first, you can be last, you can be randomly in the middle. Whatever's best for you. Second, maybe. Okay. We'll warm up with the Learning Chess's game. Here's the games I got. Learning Chess, Morales. I get to choose one of Morales' games. Mule Skinner, Acerbate, ABC FIGM, Snedsteg, and Mr. Slow. We'll do Mr. Slow second. Alright, let's move it up there. Yeah, that's good. I'll get warmed up with the first game. Against this game from Learning Chess. Learning Chess, I don't know. It's a weird player. I can't get a handle on them. Besides being like psychiatrically bipolar, I'm not really, but I feel like I am. One of the things I can't seem to do is like figure out the difference between a beginner and a master. A lot of times it's really hard to judge players. I can't figure Learning Chess out. I mean, I can't figure out like how good they are. It's very strange. Despite his very bad score against me, he seems like a pretty strong player. So anyway, this is a game submitted by this player. Black's playing e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and then knight to c3. I mean, I don't know. This is always a disappointment to me. Guju, welcome back, by the way. Back to OTB next week. Okay. I'll tell you, though, the move I hate the most is bishop c4. You know, I saw a friend of mine, Fodor Tamash, a couple weeks ago playing black against 2200. Maybe the best thing to do is to go into the two knights. He played the Ufimsev, or what is this called? No, it's another name. What is this variation called again? That's the Fritz variation. B5 is the Ovestad. Ovestad, not Ufimsev. Ovestad is totally different. Ovestad. It's the same as 94 though. White didn't know the line. I'm like, damn, dude. If you don't know your line with white, that's bad. Anyway, I'm off subject. Okay, knight c3 now. Not a lot of choices. I have experimented with g6 here. You have knight f6, the four knights, and bishop c5, which allows knight takes e5, which I don't think is great. So basically, it's either knight f6, or if you want to play an alternate move, maybe bishop b4 is kind of weird. I mean, whatever. Okay, knight f6 is the only really reliable move. I think g6 isn't so bad. Knight f6, and then this, and then I was in the tournament 2 weeks ago, and some guy in my tournament played this with white. And FM, I was like, how can you play this? You know, how can anybody play this with white in a tournament game? It's like very, very harmless. So knight takes e4. Now the problem is, if you don't want to draw, you might have an issue here. So I think that's important to establish if black is satisfied with the draw or not, because this line after knight takes e4, knight takes e4, d5, bishop d3, pawn takes, bishop takes, it's very equal. You can see the draw percentage is quite high. If you want to win with black, I would recommend probably not going into it. You play a lot of people that play bishop takes f7. No shit. Bishop f7 is bad. But I'm trying to recall what happened in that game I was talking about. That's not what happened in the game. Knight takes e4, d5. Did white have an alternative here? Well, I faced this, and I went wrong in this one. Someone played bishop takes d5, queen takes d5, knight c3, and in a game online, I mistakenly played queen e6, and this is a serious mistake. I thought, oh, it doesn't matter where I put the queen, but it really does matter. You have to put your queen on d6, so it's not on the e file. And then other lines, like you're mentioning bishop takes f7 is generally bad. This should be really bad. I mean, this is just like horrible for white. But there is the gambit castles. Maybe that's what the guy played. Maybe that was what it was. They did castles. See, now the main line is this thing with like knight c3, dc3, and it used to be, I thought f6 was the move. f6, knight h4, queen e7. I thought it was queen e7. That doesn't make sense. g6, sorry. g6, f4, queen e7. This is like... I don't remember where I got this from, encyclopedia or... b4. Holy crap. b4. Wow. But not the easiest position in the world to play. You know, I was always kind of afraid to play this for black without knowing it well. White has lead in development. I mean, it's easy for a computer to say. So the way to bail out would be just go back. I think what happened in the game was something like knight f6, rook e1. And the guy just played like bishop e7 or something. Or d5. I can't remember. But that's just ridiculous, you know? Knight d6, bishop e3 gives away some chances, I feel like. This line isn't so easy. This is like very equal. But why would white play this line, you know? So this move I only play if I have to win, you know? This equalizes on the spot, basically. And probably even gives black an advantage in some lines. But again, this is you can see, so Mamedyarov, Ivanchuk, Karyakin, it's likely to end in a draw. Truly, this is very equal. I have looked at some weird alternatives in this position when I was desperate to find something to play for a win with black. There's knight b4. Unfortunately, although this move is interesting, I think it's not better than pawn takes knight. It's like a... I don't know what to describe this. It's basically like white's playing the black side of the classical... I want to say like classical Ruy Lopez, but it's not exactly because your bishop's still not out. Whatever. This is interesting, not good enough. This is also interesting, but not quite good enough. You see here, Sladgie lost to Mrovic back in 1996. Ejek Dula lost the game with white, 1991. But in general, I'm sorry, he won with white. Yeah, Ejek won against another Hungarian. Mrovic won against Sladgie. But anyway, it's an interesting idea for blitz rapid. So you did bishop c5. This is very boring. It's a Vienna transposition. And that just doesn't work. Because that loses a piece. Yeah, so this is like a weird game to submit. Does white have any kind of compensation for this piece sacrifice? It just loses a piece as far as I'm concerned. Take d4, knight c4, d takes c5. I mean, I guess there's some technical questions. White probably has like a third of a piece compensation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He has a pawn for the knight and a center pawn and a little development lead. So it's like a crazy piece sacrifice, worse than the Halloween Gambit by a large margin. But black played queen e7, you know, I don't think this is the safest move for black here. The question would be like, well, what is the safest move for black? But queen e7 is probably not bad. I guess castles allows b3, etc. So what would you do here? I mean, everything's possible. d5, probably not a good move. d6, probably not a good move. This knight is unstable. You could bring the knight back to here, but again, we've got Halloween Gambit-like complications. Analyzing a technical win with a piece up. You know, but I mean, there is a little bit of awkwardness here. I mean, I would get careful in this position that it's not quite as instantly over as it, and black could go wrong. So queen e7 is an interesting move. If you don't do queen e7, if you just castle, I mean, is black under some pressure or not? Let's say castle. Yeah, I mean, this wouldn't be my choice to submit this. I would think like just d6. Sorry, but you played queen e7. It's a little riskier. Castles, this is kind of greedy. Queen takes c5. But now, I mean, after knight d5, white just can resign. That's totally unnecessary. Why would you take on e4 here? You're up a clear piece. You take on e4 and get out of there. And, I mean, I don't think that white has significant compensation. I mean, okay, something, but not much. This is a strange decision by black to take this pawn on e4 with an open line against your king. Why in the world would anyone do that? That's like extremely greedy. And then rook e1, okay. That's creative. It's a creative idea. Allowing f2 to go with check. Well, I guess this game was submitted, Mr. Slow, for entertainment value. So if queen takes f2 check here, I keep looking for some kind of trap. Oh, now c7's hanging, and then that's hanging. I think it's no good. You can still play f5, but then knight c7 is coming. So f5. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if white has something here, like b4, distractionary move. He doesn't play b4. Black doesn't have that many moves after b4. We have to decide. We're going to take this pawn on f2, I guess. f2 check, king over, and then castles. But then, like, this is falling, and you have queen d5 check. No. Yeah, it's doubtful. White's probably, like, in trouble no matter what. Yeah, this is just kind of random. That's what I'm talking about, this player, this learning chess. I mean, dude, this is a really random game. +4 for white. White's lost now. But I mean, you played insanely reckless moves. Like, why would you take on e4? Up a piece and you take on e4? You're just asking for trouble. f5, bishop e3, and now you play queen e6. Why don't you take it? Yeah, this is trash. White just lost after knight takes e3. This is just a trash, like, blitz game, bullet game. Knight takes b2, of course it's a bad move. So you basically sacrifice the piece back for nothing. It's just a totally random game. This is why I don't recommend bullet chess. b6. That's a sort of strange move, isn't it? b6. I think your bishop already has a diagonal, but he didn't want to hang f2. I see, he did want to hang b7 with check. Yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem, truthfully. b6 he has to play to get his bishop. So this doesn't drop the rook with check. And now, I mean, one would assume bishop h3 is pretty strong here. Check. Uh-oh. Safe to say, like, king e8 would probably be a viable option. I don't really see what white's going to do now. queen b5 check. Then you can go to e7. And you're just totally winning. Yeah. This is a bad game. Just submitting like bullet gains to my stream. King g8 was a silly move. I mean, this is entertaining. You know, I admit like rook g3 is entertaining, but the game itself was really bad. White offers a draw. Facing like mate in 3. Queen e1 or queen... No, mate in 2. Even. Alright, not a good game. Anyway, we're on the real chess now. Alright, we'll just pretend that never came in. It was a sound draw for... You can never go wrong with a draw for when you're getting mated in 2. Not a mistake to offer a draw there, I think. Morally, maybe. I think if... Yeah. Maybe a philosophy professor would argue that offering a draw there is a mistake, but it's open to debate. Mr. Coffee, what's up? Juicebox, what's up? Nice to see you guys. Okay, now we have a real game for Mr. Slow. Mr. Slow, white versus DM. Dunk Master. Who's got time for morals in online chess? Yeah, morals. Anyway, we're not going to talk about morals today. Just reading the news scares me when I see how few morals world leaders actually have. For example, we obviously see that morals just don't mean much of anything at all. Alright. Mr. Coffee, Juicebox. Kramnik was big on that. Yeah, man. Well, Kramnik is like one of the few people who doesn't play bullet chess and think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I agree with him, dude. I mean, there's not enough Kramniks left, you know? Kramnik is right. But Kramnik doesn't come from that school, you know? He was hatched with a mouse in his egg, and Kramnik is a real chess player, basically. Woke Botvinnik would not be happy, I'll tell you right now, Mr. Slow. Botvinnik, Woke Botvinnik. How do you say woke in Russian? Liberal Botvinnik. Alright, so Mr. Slow, DM, E4, E5, Knight F3. No Spanish! What? Mr. Slow is normally playing the Spanish. Mr. Slow! What's, yeah, and criminals are like heroes. Putin is also very big on defending Donald Trump. He only has like 91 charges. People who have like 91 charges against them are heroes. And you're a criminal if you're woke. Liberal equals criminal. Alright. Enough politics. What made Mr. Slow play this? Is this an old game, Mr. Slow? Is this an old game? Man, we're getting an awful lot of... I don't think we can handle any more 2 nights games, guys. Or 4 nights. Please, no more 4 nights. The 4 nights is banned from the rest of the stream after this game, okay? This is our second 4 nights in a row. I just want to kill myself. I hate symmetry in chess. Mr. Slow played G3. It's 1998. Yeah, Igor Gleck system. But I told you guys about the time when Sati Usari played this against Alexander Ivanov, and Ivanov started having like a panic attack at the board. There it is. Ivanov beat him, of course, but he was bugging out, man. It was like game 60 or something. You know, this is not a fun move to face in game 60. I think it was a Massachusetts game 60 championship or something. 2000. You are next. Uh-oh. Antonio, you are next. Yeah, so this is 1998. I mean, this move isn't really bad. I like A3 better. Look at the A3. A3 has a worse score. Black has a higher winning percentage than A3. I don't like the 4-Knight Scotch. It just seems lame. While this like leaves the symmetry behind, it just leads to a lot of simplification, you know. One good thing about G3 is that you're not getting a lot of exchanges early on. Obviously Bishop E5 is the main line and probably White's best move. But again, please don't play Bishop C4 or submit any games to the stream where someone played Bishop C4. I like this. This is the most interesting to me. And, well, not surprisingly, H3 is a move. I would be surprised if B3 wasn't a move. Bishop E2 is another move that's popular, though not very, it's not exactly, like, very dynamic. I remember this getting played against Caruana in Olympiad in, like, 2013 or something. So G3, Bishop C5. I mean, this is like next to. I mean, D5 is obviously critical, but that gives White dynamism. I mean, if you play D5, you know you are opening up this diagonal. So I think that's something that White is generally welcoming. But I don't think it's that clear. You know, Black takes out your central strong point in exchange for letting you open up the long diagonal for your bishop. Well, who's like benefiting more? It's not easy to say, you know. But I have to say, like, Bishop C5 is probably the most principled move for Black, objectively. I had a game with Alms like this, and I had a with your German countrymen. Alms played like a correspondence game with me on the site where I played this line without really knowing what I was doing, and all I remember is that he played a really early H5 against me, Mr. Slow. It traumatized me. Very, very early on, Alms did H5. I was like, whoa. I don't remember how it went. I think I did D3. I must have played like D3. But then what would Black have played here? Maybe I didn't do D3. Maybe that's what it was. You can't go Knight A4, can you? This old guy, Leonid Kernizhitsky, did this in 1998. I wonder if he's still alive. He was an IM. He was still like 2300 when he was ancient. I wonder if he's even still existing. I saw him in like 2017. He was still playing. Pretty strong for an old guy. 94 is interesting. I can't remember my game with Alms though. Like, what? How could it have gone? Somehow I played Knight A4 early on. Let's see. Player. It's not in here. Do you guys know if correspondence games are not in the Opening Explorer? Like lichess correspondence games, are they omitted from the Opening Explorer? Wait. I'm going to assume yes, because otherwise it would be in here. Otherwise it would be in here. That's weird though, right? Like, why should quality games, they're like correspondence games, we're going to omit them, but put in like bullet games? Okay. Alright, so here's the game. Castles, and now a6. I don't think that's really a priority for black. I mean, the point was against Ahmes. He didn't castle early. And he let me play knight a4, like trapping his bishop. But now that I think about it, maybe I'm wrong. You know, maybe against Ahmes I had actually played. How could it have gone? Maybe I actually played a Vienna with g3 on move 3. But I still don't see any game there. Knight c6, bishop g2. It's not in here. Bishop c5, d3. Scared knight. We always suspected that Sladgie was scared knight, alt account. I think he denied it though. Too many similarities that it had to be the same person. I think this was what it was. You know, I must have done something like this. And it wasn't Mr. So's variation, the Gleck variation. It was a slightly different line. Where Ahmes just went off on me with like h5, and I started to have like great fear that I didn't like my position and it was just crap. And it seems like a good plan for black. I don't know, I was impressed by it. I thought this is a very reasonable way for black to play. Well, oh, it depends if they're rated or not, maybe? Okay. But anyway, this is different. My move order was different. But black can definitely like think about delaying castling. I mean, to be honest, h5 is not really dangerous if the knight's on f3. Not as dangerous with the knight on f3 already. Because it would hold up. It would help to hold up h5, h4 and stuff like that. If my knight is still on g1, I think h5 is more playable. So, alright, let's go back to the Masters database. Bishop g2, and I like d6 better. It's more flexible. Like, why should black, you know, commit? But he castled, and now played a6. See, this is what I thought was weird. He's playing a6 like it's a normal Joko piano or something. But your e4 pawn's not even protected. So even if, you know, if he did d6, you can't really do this, can you? His pawn's just hanging. You can't go out and trap his bishop. There's no reason for him to play a6. After d6, d3, then we're going to see a6, see? It pops up. Now it's like the number one move. And I think even there, it reminds me of the Sicilian Bodler variation. I mean, honestly, I don't think this is all that big of a threat at the end of the day. Because it's like knight a4, black can play bishop b6, knight b6, a b6, and then the a file. ABC FIGM, no, he just wants to give his bishop a retreat square at a7. It's just strictly about playing bishop a7. It should be, at least. That's the idea. a6. No, I think it's normal. I don't think it's terrible. But it's just not necessary here. It's a normal plan in the regular Joko piano. So there's the Luis Gallego game. Gallego. You like grabbing the bishop pair, but I mean, I think grabbing the bishop pair can be overrated, you know? That's my point. Or like d3. Let's just say like h6, for example. Look at the score here. You see what I'm saying? How's the score after like bishop b6? White doesn't even have a winning score in this position. It's not really easy for white to use his bishop pair. You know, this bishop on g2 is nothing special. So that definitely goes to show that I don't think a6 is a great move. Okay, how bad is it though? Well, white's position isn't that dynamic. I mean, the main plan is like a kingside build-up with f4. I mean, I guess white can play bishop e3 coming up. You can play bishop e3 to neutralize that bishop. That's what he did. Another question, you know, is bishop e6 appropriate with knight g5 on board? Now, knight g5 right away, you see only one player played this, because the question is, like, Danish Boris played it, but why? Like, why did he play it? I mean, white's not even threatening f4, so... he just did king h2, now black has time to play h6. So I'm not sure I, like, fully understand that. I don't know if that was really beneficial for white. Bishop e3 seems natural. I have to admit, though, I mean, it's not exciting to me, white's position, but nor is black's. But after bishop e3, I mean, this capture, is that, like, devastating or something? So you can see here, someone played queen d7. Two players played queen d7. And they're both decent players. I'm not sure I'm in love with that either. It's not terrible. h6. Linderman lost. And Sam Collins lost. Machea beat Fontaine 1998. Lecheka lost in 1974. Alright. I'm not sure. It stops knight g5. h6 is reasonable. But black played bishop takes e3. Okay. Traditionally, according to Tartakover and 500 Master Games of Chess, this type of exchange is a mistake because it gives white control of this outpost square, and we have the f file. But even this is probably not that bad for black. It does support d4, but I think that black still has a very solid position. You can see the results here are okay for black. I mean, I think objectively the position is kind of equal. There's also an argument that white has a bad bishop. Black has a plus score here. It's only 10 games. I don't know. I would say it's objectively equal. My evaluation would be objectively equal. Hard for black to make progress, you know. What is black going to do? Play d5? He did play d5 in a bunch of games. So Morovich did this. And your opponent did not. But d5 is counterintuitive because it also frees your bishop. Okay, g3 is a bit weak. So what do we do now, Mr. Slow? Someone played knight g5 here, Simon Ansel. Yeah, this is the question, d4. Wow, that is a weird continuation. Knight to d5? Holy crap. That's crazy, bro. Wow. Knight d5. Can't say I expected that move. Is this sound? Apparently not. Bishop takes d5, e takes d5, knight e7, and black is better. Based on the bad bishop. The computer thinks black is better. Based on this bishop being very bad here. That's an odd continuation though. You know, I'm not sure knight g5 is... I don't think Mr. Slow would play knight g5. E takes d5, knight takes d5. What would Steinitz do, Mr. Slow? I think that's the question we all need to answer. What would Steinitz do with white? Todorovich versus Andreykin. Black won on time, obviously. I will be right back when I fix my computer. I gotta find the setting how to make the timeout occur less frequently. Yeah, I mean, your pawn structure is a little squishy. I guess black is probably better by like 0.1 or 0.2 here. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Give me 0.1. It's at 0, 0. Wow. I'm surprised, honestly. It's so close, and it's not giving black. It's not giving black an edge. It just thinks it's like a tiny bit better for white after queen d2, but only queen d2 allows white. Todorovic, Andreikin. Andreikin played f5, which is really a little on the risky side. But then more or less, Steinitz would be content that white's position is equal. So after f takes e3, the game continuation was h6. This is also natural, but it does weaken his kingside slightly. So naturally, knight h4. Now we're following a Gleck game, in fact, from his heyday. I remember seeing Igor Gleck playing the World Open. I think he won a World Open once. It was way back in the mid-90s. It was around like 1994. I can't remember. He used to play, I mean, you know, he played the king, interesting ideas in the King's Indian, too. He did a lot for the King's Indian, which Mr. Slow plays as well. Now, largely forgotten Grandmaster, but he was never a super GM, but a really important theoretical contributor. Knight h7, knight f5. That's a nice knight you got there. I mean, I think one has to consider the last move, knight h7. Not surprisingly, that was not played by anyone else. No, I mean, knight h7 just... So Sargsyan here played g6. I mean, that obviously takes balls. But Lukács played it back in 96. But, you know, I'd rather do that than let the knight come to f5, definitely. Yeah, g6 would be a good idea. This is a really bad move, knight h7. It just has no upside. Literally no upside. Where is it going to go from there, you know? He's going to attack you with knight g5. I mean, then he'll just get driven away by h4 later. Yeah, knight e7, wow. There's Gleck and Kiev. Gleck didn't sack the exchange. I mean, I'm sure that Gleck did a yearbook article for this in New in Chess. Mr. Slow, I think I probably have it. King h2. I mean, he just builds up like Mr. Slow was talking about. But Ye Jingchuan, draw with Surmek. Some Turkish guy won a game in 2015. Who is that? Never heard of them. White wants to play a4. If White's best move is a4, then this position is so great. So is Rook f6 on sound? Rook f6, gf6. Oh yeah, I forgot there was no bishop on d2. Queen h5, king g7. Rook f1. Now c6, king h2. White managed to draw. Presumably that was Slovakia, China. Or Cermak, maybe Cermak was Serbian, sorry. Not Slovakian. He's definitely not Slovakian. Slovenian or Serbian. I think Serbian. Alright, but anyways, this was from the Olympics, 1990. Is that possible? 97? No. Something else. Not Olympics. in an odd year and an odd month. Oh, you have a book on it. Oh, there's a book on it. 100 pages, Jesus. Alright. There the computer wants to play a4, notably. It really likes this idea of grabbing space on the queen side with a4. Now you transposed. Andrew Ledger. That's weird. Not easy. You got up to 24-29, 2008. Huh. Alright. Ledger Godina. Rook f2. Well, rook f2 is reasonable, but it's kind of hard to say what to play here. I think you are a little bit better. You just wanted to connect your rooks. You're just waiting for black to make a mistake. Now you played the computer move, a4. The thing about a4 is, if I can fix it with a5, and I don't love your dark squares. I don't really like these dark squares here. From my perspective, I don't think you should play a4 now. I feel like black's just going to answer it with a5. Why wouldn't black just play a5 after a4? I mean, how does that really benefit white? You just grab a certain amount of space? Okay. I mean, it's possible that white is better, but I don't... Well, maybe you're just like preempting him from playing b5. He could also play b5. After a4, if b5, what do we do? b5, b4? I kind of like that. b4 might actually be good. Bring the king to the queen side. You mean for black? I think you're talking about a situation where the whole like pawn structure is locked through a driver. Alright, queen d7. I don't think this is a good idea. Because if we play queen d7, okay, he's abandoning that diagonal. And like, yeah, I mean, you're just going to play g4. So how, now he's going to have like all these pieces like just tied into this thing where there's no way to release the tension. He can't really go anywhere from here, black. I mean, I suppose he might be able to try d5, but you're going to lose a pawn. By the way, I think white should play a5 if you get the free time. And he did. He did. Yeah, man, I mean, at least he's got to play a5 here. This is really dumb. I mean, to play knight g6 and let you go a5 and now you fixed his pawns on the wrong color. And he missed the boat completely over there. Basically letting you do whatever you want. Yeah, this is ridiculous. Queen d7 was bad. Black's playing without a plan. Now he plays queen d8 and he ties you down to that. A minor inconvenience. I was definitely looking at queen e1. To keep this in mind, give us a possibility of like knight a4, knight b6. Maybe it doesn't do anything. I think he wanted to kill my open king. That's a interesting take on reality. Yeah, your open king, quote unquote open king. Well, I mean, it's kind of hard to do that with the 10-eyed monster on f5. It's like Cthulhu or something. Cthulhu is in the middle of his position, but he's going to attack your king. The chess equivalent of Cthulhu. I think he probably has to remove Cthulhu before he can actually like attempt to play for an attack here. Queen f2. Oof. He's definitely not attacking with rook c8, rook c7. But it's also a good plan what you did. You know, I mean, Mr. Slow basically invested. He didn't go all in on one stock. He spread his portfolio out to the queen side. You know, so he's got something over there. It's not just an all in on the king side. So you can be patient here. You're kind of waiting for him to make a mistake at this point. But he basically said, I'm never going to take your knight. He can't live with that knight on f5. And now he's made it so that he should have taken it like right away or something, and now it's there. He can't get rid of it. Yeah, okay. Now we're getting to the point where maybe white is like seriously close to winning. Maybe black is still hanging on. This thing with d4, right? That reminds me of the Gioco Piano or Gioco Pianissimo, where you see so many games where Carlsen or whoever, Karyakin, these guys who are playing in Gioco Pianissimo will just play d4 at some point and just increase the pressure on black's position. Okay, he played rook g8 here, but what about the other option? I mean, clearly you can go h4. The problem is he's like paralyzed. And Mr. Slow's a King's Indian player, understands this kind of position. You do have a bad bishop, and we don't have a good bishop to attack with. That bishop is gone. But I think intuitively, King's Indian style, a player who attacks closed positions in King's Indian understands how to play this type of structure. F6 is difficult to say, but let's put it this way: he went to the trouble of playing like rook c7. So I would think like I would play f6 rather than tie my other rook down to g8. This has some advantage. Maybe it frees up the f8 square. Okay. Otherwise, his knight couldn't move. So now he has this possibility. So now c4. That's a surprising move, honestly. You just wanted to clamp down. I didn't expect c4. I mean, to me, again, it looks like a situation where maybe he should blockade on the dark squares. But here you do have b4 now. So basically, Mr. Slow can play on both sides. Pawn structure-wise, b4 might be an interesting break for you. He has no obligation to play c5, but if he did. Otherwise, you can just like push and eventually have a break over here. Yeah, I never would have really expected c4. I was looking at this, you know, which you did soon. Maybe bring a rook to the d file. I don't know. I mean, because this, you see, this bothers me more. I think the reason why I like d4 is because we have a plan here. I mean, yeah, he can play like rook d7, rook d1, and guard this. But then you're playing d5. I mean, this is going to be a problem for black. Eventually you'll play d5 if he does nothing. So c4, okay, I don't think it's bad. Just not what I expected. And now he's forking you. Fork you. Fork University. Oh man, that'd be great. We should start an online chess school. What do you guys think? How funny would it be? Woke Botvinnik will be a professor at Fork University. All in favor, say aye. What's up, Nedog?
Yeah, baby!
Fork University. I'll be a tenured professor at Fork U. The 4Q Remote Chess Academy. want to go to 4Q. Just the merch sales would be like crushing. We could make money just on the merch alone. What's up, Nedog? You're here for the humor part of the show. Okay, rook d7, d4 finally. Dude, your pawn is hanging. What's that about? Squeeze me? Unbelievable. This is when Mr. Slow was like young and optimistic. I'm telling you, there was no need to play c4. I just don't get it, you know? You should have just played without c4. Now you're sacking a pawn. I mean, there may be some deep trick involving knight f7. I don't know what it is. Cutting him off. He knocked him off the diagonal here. This is weird. I mean, rook fc1. Now the bishop obviously has a couple of options. So I don't know. That seemed odd for Mr. Slow's normal style. Out of the blue, he's like sacking his c pawn. You didn't have any obligation to do that, right? I mean, you could just play like b3 or anything. Just hypothetically, you could play anything. And he goes... It's a sacrifice. I mean, obviously. There's no need to, you don't have to do it. Black's not threatening anything. I mean, is Black threatening something here? If he is, what is it, d5? Theoretically? Look at Black's pieces. Mr. Coffee King, can we get a Sladgie square? Sladgie square is 101 at Fork University. Will be like mandatory. Because bigger is better. Can I see your Sladgie square? You just have more space. You have almost double the amount of space that Black has. Essentially. The S square at Fork University. Alright, d4. We come up with all kinds of memes for 4Q. Bishop takes c4. Rook fc1, bishop e6, d5. I guess he's going to be taking that knight. Here's an interesting point. I guess he has to take it, huh? Are you feeling... How's your claustrophobia lately? I've never heard anyone discuss this. Seriously. I mean, I know people who are claustrophobic. But imagine if you're claustrophobic and this is your position with Black. You would start, like, I don't know, you know, you can't breathe and shit at the board. I mean, I've had panic attacks, but I'm not claustrophobic. But if you were, you know, like, this would be the kind of situation where, like, you know, Ivanov, hyperventilating problem. Bishop takes f5, and now knight takes f5. The squares are getting smaller. My God. Look at this Sladgie square now. Look at that. You now have like 8 times as much space as your opponent. Yeah, that's what Ivanov does in time pressure, remember? He's hyperventilating and rocking back and forth and turning purple. But it's not about, like, it's not about claustrophobia. Damn, dude. Gonna be like a dot pretty soon. This is gonna be all that's left of Black's position spatially. Just that little corner there. But that's what Ivanov does to people. He plays a slow grind, spatial type of aggression. And I've seen him do this to people where he actually, like... Oh, and speaking of which, I already mentioned he played this for White, right? We saw a game against Husari where Husari did the crazy knight c4, but... Good idea, by the way. Yeah, it's perfect for him. Yeah, he's going to be, like, slowly, like, disappearing. like an episode of The Twilight Zone. Oh, White's down a pawn. Oh, I didn't notice. Now e4. Okay, I mean, maybe if Black were a computer. But even so, even if Black were a computer, I mean, what's he going to do? Like knight e8, knight c7, knight b5 and get it in here? I mean, he should have played a5, I told you. Don't say I didn't tell you so in the beginning. I said the first thing he should do is like play a5. Wow, Mr. Slow. Offering a trade of queens while down a pawn. Black resists the temptation. I was expecting rook a4. Wouldn't that be better? I mean, honestly, it maybe doesn't make a big difference. Now he's attacking you. Oh, God. Yeah, it's time to sack a piece, I think. The problem is, if you do like knight takes g4, white will trade queens. You're not going to give him this, like queen takes g5 or something. I mean, even that is unlikely that black has any, sufficient compensation, but you would just trade queens and kill any sort of hope whatsoever. So he can't even like really sacrifice a piece here. Yeah, this was a really bad game by black. g5. Now he's still got, that the dot on horizon. That's nice. That is nice, man. I mean, it's total Zugzwang. Oof. Can I see your telephone? Oof. Yeah, this is definitely woke Botvinnik. It's like even rook c7 wins, doesn't it? Oh, you did it. Oh, that's cute, yeah. I mean, everything wins, but, I mean, I guess he's breaking out with f6, though. Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't say that everything wins, because objectively, there is some counterplay here with f6. And rook c7 is a really nice move. He's got to sack a rook or sack a piece here. So you play knight c7, bc7. Oh, you have to play rook takes c7. This is the only move. He resigned after b takes c. I mean, I would play rook c7, and f6 and lose anyway, but... Oof, this doesn't look good. Maybe this is kind of ugly. Yeah, now pawn takes g5, knight f7 check, followed by knight takes g5. It's just not good. That was a nice game, Mr. Slow. Thanks for sharing. Okay, Morales, we have 2 games to choose from. There's a Winnower French, where Morales is black, and a Caro-Kann with c5, where Morales is white. Morales, shall I pick, or would you rather pick? I didn't remember seeing you play the Winnower French before. I mean, I'm kind of curious about that. I would normally pick the Caro-Kann game, because in fact I was studying a game in this line today with one of my other students. Both are kind of... Okay, let's do the Caro-Kann, because I was talking about it today. We had the same line in analysis just an hour ago, 2 hours ago. So c5, d takes c5. As I mentioned before, thanks Mr. Slow, by the way, for the donation. $50 from Mr. Slow. We're up to 1,200. I have 1,000 rating points to go, and I'm falling down here. 1,000 rating points, dollar points. The dollar store. An instructive game for Mr. Slow. Space is more important than material. You vote Winnower French. You rejected. My instinct was Winnower French, but since I've been thinking about the Carol Con anyway, in the same variation today, that would be, maybe I can apply some what I looked at today, the same variation. So you played d takes c5. Knight f3 is worth looking at. Asteroid, didn't you play c4? Do you know what this reminds me of? It's like we're playing the Albin counter gambit with black, like up a tempo or something. It would be like, it feels like that. Weird. Like knight c6, pawn takes c5, d4. No, I don't think that's a good variation. But best is take. The Brooklyn as well. Best is take. And now, yeah, your opponent played knight c6. So I think it's widely known that e6 has become the more reliable choice. Although I am not well versed in this. I don't have my latest. I haven't created any like Chessable courses or read any Chessable courses on this. I mean, I'm sure that there are some people promoting these lines. I still think, hands down, like bishop f5 has got to be, it's got to be better than c5. But anyways, c5, d takes c5, e6 is more safe. So the question about knight c6 now, Morales. The problem is, you're playing like the old style here. The cognoscentes. Do we have an Illuminati? Every 5-year-old, as Alistair Malinsky would say, every 5-year-old knows that f4 is the move here. Basically, I studied this with move 11 quite a bit. I mean, statistics don't lie, right, Mr. Coffee? But look at the score. Do I need Caro-Kann defense, advanced variation, woke Botvinnik, Carl's defense. So, what I was looking at today was whoa, c4 in this position. Well, that's original. No, Uber driver, for once you actually have a valid suggestion. Maybe the first time ever. Uber driver made a valid suggestion. G5. I mean, the idea is, I was talking about this today with my student. The idea is valid. It's just a question of like, when is the right moment that it's sound. I looked at this with the engine. I think I recall something about like not taking it. Fred doesn't know anything about chess, man. I mean, I was just reading excerpt from Lipnitsky. A little more than Fred, and I think knight f3, pawn takes pawn, bishop takes f4. g5 is a good idea, but it's too early yet. So what we're supposed to play is like knight h6. I feel like this is the best shot. And then my student, who was like 1450 FIDE, had a game against a 1299, literally, this week, and he played. His opponent played bishop f5. And this move just doesn't really make sense here. So most people you see play e6, but I think that knight h6 is probably the best shot. And then you can play g5 later. This Svedosea Paris-Ponce game is actually, I recall it being pretty important. And the Kantan's Prohashka game. So here's an important point. Most people played c3 now because they're like afraid of getting pinned or something. But it looks like knight f3 it possibly might be better. I don't know. So basically you can allow bishop g4. Like Kantan's versus Prohashka. Kantan's is not afraid of allowing bishop g4. And I think that he's probably right. I'm not sure that bishop g4 is even black's best move here. But see, the nice thing about bishop g4, it stops g5. I mean, knight f3 stops g5. Nice thing about knight f3 versus c3. If you play c3, can black play g5 here? It's going over the top. But notice the computer's move. It's not pawn takes pawn. It's just the solid knight f3. To some people, it might look like I'm speaking like, you know, Chinese or something. But I mean, this position, I know it looks kind of crazy for black. I suspect that if an average player from my stream played, you know, let's say Paris-Ponce or whatever, or Banus, or I didn't know Banus. Since when does Banus play the Caro-Kann? What is Banus doing playing the Caro-Kann? Paris-Ponce or Hawkins or Prohashka, you guys would lose to them, you know, in this position. Good luck with you guys against Prohashka or whatever. But I like knight h6. I think that's the best shot because it's a more dynamic move than e6, and it's more flexible. e6 is okay, but it's very committal. So here's a game from Navarra. If we wanted to play e6, we would have played it before. Anyway, okay. Morales is playing old school. This is not good enough. I mean, there's a bunch of people like Karpov. What did I say, Karpov? Karpov. You see him #1 game in the list. This isn't the refutation of knight c6, basically. Keith Arkle, I want to say. Arkle plays this stuff, but he'll play e6, you know. This probably is not that bad for black. There's something with b6, isn't there? Yeah, I mean, this has to be the best move. I mean, again, I guess knight h6, I don't hate it because it's a 3 a.m. defense. But e6 looks pretty fundamental. And now you got to defend the pawn. You know, and then you would see a lot of people do like queen a5 check. I remember playing this like back in like 1997 or something. I think you see here's Katronius against Maya Shibernadze from 1995. I played that with black against Bill Kelleher in Harvard Square, Uber driver, trying to play this with black. I remember this well. This was theory circa 1990s, right? But queen a5 is always bad. That's definitely not good enough. Let's see what Karpov did. What do you think? Knight e7? Okay, Karpov played knight e7. Big Bill likes his extra pawn on c5. So bishop d7. You know, now we're trying to keep our extra pawn here, but black's threatening knight takes e5. Oh, this was the game. Oh, I saw this right. This was the game from the stream tournament. I remember now. Yeah, I mean, I assume black's going to take with the bishop here. So we're still in book, quote unquote. played knight f3. I mean, there is this. There is the Sultan Booth variation of the note boom, Queen's Gambit, where you play d5 with white and uncover on g7. It's the same idea here. Now, black to play, knight e7. Notice knight h6 is a possibility. Played by Adalik. He actually won with black a game in 2015, but his opponent was just 2200. I mean, a modern interpretation of putting the knight on the side of the board. Now c3. This is not obligatory. Oh, you're following Yakovenko? Wow. Whatever happened to Yakovenko anyway? He's still around somewhere. I really like his style. He's got a good game. Knight f5. Not been traveling as much of late. Now bishop d4. So we're still following book here. Ooh, and then g5. Wow. But I mean, I didn't see how this game came about. By the way, Morales, when I saw this game and subsequently saw black play g5, I thought it was like a short variation of the... I don't know why. I thought it was like a short variation with knight f3. Your knight was on f3 and he had like g5, g4 in. But I didn't really look at the position closely, you know, because for that to be the case, his bishop would have had to have gone to like f5 or something. I was just talking about how I don't like playing h6 and g5 in the Caro-Kann, but if Uber Driver says it's okay, then it's okay. So this guy, you got two crazies here. It's like you're playing an opening and the guys who played your position are Igor Milodinovich and Srunas Solskis. That's not necessarily a good thing, you know. One guy is like a Chigorin specialist and the other one like plays the Cochrane Gambit. You know, so I think both of these players should ask themselves a question as to whether they should be playing the Caro-Kann at all, you know, basically. If I was their like trainer, I'd be like, look, I don't know if your style is really right to be playing the Caro-Kann dudes, but a lot of people try to fit the round peg into the square hole. Sporgasm, just popping by. Don't forget to sign up for 4Q. Sporgasm at 4Q. Alright, so g5. Really, like, understand it, but it's a loose move. If I were black, I would be trying to focus on something more solid. There's knight takes d4, and then like b6, right? There's another Solskis game. So now if c takes d4, b6, I remember this. And this seems to be good enough for black. So what about queen takes? I mean, it looks like black is okay. Queen c7. This is, again, like Keith Arkell territory. b4, b6. C takes b6, a takes b6. Let's just say this is sounder than playing g5 for black. I mean, the bishop has some possibilities. You're down a pawn, but you have a very strong pawn on d5. Let's just say, like, if Tigran Petrosian was black, right, would he play g5 here or knight takes d4? Or maybe a5 isn't so stupid, preventing b4. But, I mean, at least black's playing on the right side of the board, right? But after g5, he's, like, playing on the wrong side of the board. So interestingly, Morales here made a novelty. The butcher. That's the butcher, right? What did the butcher play? The butcher played g4. And then these other guys played h3. Yeah, but be careful when you see Perunovic, because there's two Perunovic, right? One of them is this like crazy IM who was like on chess bra, and the other one is like a 2600. They're very different players, One of them is like one of the best players in Serbia. The other is like some kind of maniac. Majub. I thought he was the YouTuber one, yeah. But I didn't know the other Perunovic back in 2013. I wasn't sure how old he is, and I'm not sure when he got to 2600, but he was already quite strong by then, apparently. Here, Morales made a mistake, though. This is kind of standard. I guess you bottle up your knights, redundant knights, plus blockage here. Knight e1 is definitely also this, man. You got a knight d3 idea. I guess you didn't like bishop e5. Okay, it's understandable. He didn't want to block his rook getting trapped. I wonder if black should consider a5. It doesn't seem like Ujwala is real big on prophylaxis. Judging by g5, g4, h5. I wouldn't call him like a prophylactic style player. Yeah, Uber Driver, of course, knight e3 is an option. Black does have queen e7, I suppose, here. b3. I'm not, again, I don't really advocate the way black played this position. I don't like g5 and all that crap. He's playing on the wrong side of the board. Morales should have had a good game. a6 is hesitant, too. This is really what... I wasn't paying attention to the bishop. When I saw this, it was like one of those weird... h6, g5. Bishop f5 lines. I mean, maybe the bishop's interesting on e7 as well. But after this, I figured like you were in really good shape. Honestly, he didn't connect his rooks. So I half expected black not to take on b5 here, because of the fact that his rooks aren't connected. And I wasn't sure what Morales has. I mean, you might have some kind of like positional pawn sack or something. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this was crushing. For example, c6 takes b6. And you can have a protected passer with a5 just to stay in shape. Although this might be, it would be good to have your e5 pawn protected at some point. I guess you could, though, Go rook e1, I mean, who would you rather be? I guess we're going to lose a pawn. Okay, we can't do that. We can't lose the b6 pawn. We're going to lose something here, like a5, bishop takes e5, b7. Hey, is that a problem? We're getting mated now? Not quite. That's just one variation that could be very interesting. So, okay, I guess he's right. He has to take. Prophylaxis is a 4Q course. I can see a lawsuit coming on. We better have a good legal team at Fork University. Yeah, I didn't expect knight takes b5. Over the board. When you played the game, I expected pawn takes pawn. I suppose it's probably strong. Can he sack? It's a good thing his rook is defended on h8. So, like rook takes, bishop takes, rook e1 or check, king e7, rook takes h8, bishop takes h8, rook e1. It's a lot of pawn moves for both sides. But I'm going to vote for the side that's up the exchange. Despite black's pieces being very active here, I think that white is still in control. But I was surprised by knight takes. Okay, this is a fast game. Here, I mean, that's a huge threat. The same thing happened. Isn't that funny? I talked to you guys that my 1450 student had the same c5 variation, and the same thing happened. He had pawns on e5 and c5, and his knight got to d6 with check, and the game was over in like 5 moves. And basically, Antonio is like Mr. E5, and we've talked about this over the last like 5 years, since Antonio's been watching the stream. He is a VIP because of his, consistent control of the E5 square. You read what? Don't read what Aspirate wrote. Yeah, that's your first mistake. Just save it for later. So he took, and then castled. Which seems like a sensible thing to do in the circumstances. But now it's like, well, why did I play h5, g4? So here, you defended the pawn. And then, black needs to... and this, more than defending the pawn, he's securing his favorite square. And also, discouraging f6. Because after pawn takes pawn, everybody knows that this is hanging. Pawn takes pawn, rook takes rook. Let's just say for argument's sake, rook takes rook, rook takes rook, f6. Pawn takes pawn, knight takes d4, pawn takes d4, rook takes f6. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look good enough for black. This pawn phalanx is... Between the pawn phalanx and this pawn on e6, it looks like black's in trouble. Yeah. There's just no way out. Well, I mean, you could switch up the move order and take first, but what's the point, Ultimately, like, white's just crushing with the pawns. So bishop h6 doesn't really do anything. And he's just kind of treading water. And then I thought after h3, black was essentially busted. And he was, but Morales ran out of time. So this was instructive. You're winning here. You're totally winning. I thought so. When I saw the board and I saw h3, I thought, okay, this is exactly what happens when you play g5, g4 in the advanced Caro-Kann with black. And if you do play g5, g4, you either leave your king in the center or you castle queenside. But castling kingside and playing g5, g4, and honestly, bishop g5 didn't help him. It ended up winning the game, but he who hesitates is lost. Here you hesitated. I saw this after the game. You had f4. So f4 is just like lights out immediately. It's a beautiful position. What can he do? I mean, like, pawn takes pawn doesn't do anything. He has to play bishop h4. And then what, like g3? Not even just rook f3. Like, this is good enough, right? You just do, like... Or does it not work? Oh, maybe it doesn't work. Okay, maybe I exaggerated. It doesn't work. I mean, I think it's good, but maybe you're right. Maybe rook f3 is better. Yeah. I guess you have to trade rooks first or something. White's totally winning. The knight even controls the a1 square. There's not going to be any surprising rook coming down to a1. But this was like time consuming. You're still winning, right? But you didn't need to play queen takes h3, king g7. Then I was afraid. I was actually afraid you were in trouble because of rook h8 here, but apparently you're just totally winning. It doesn't matter, you're still totally winning. Okay, it's not that intuitive. It's not that simple now, I mean, he's got coverage. That was a good game. That's why knight a1 is critical. Knight a1, triple exclam. So e1 is hit. Basically, anything that covers that is winning. So knight c2 would have been the simplest. That would have been a thematic move, no? To coordinate all your pieces. This is awkward. Queen f1 was awkward. Rook g8. Now you played knight c2. And then rook g3. Wow, and you're winning. But you just got low on time. 8 seconds. It's ridiculous. Morales loves sudden death time controls. Right? c7. You have 3 seconds. Hard to eliminate all the material here and get a draw. I say go for the base of the pawn chain. Oh, that was... Wow, after that, you're only drawing after queen g3 check. It's pretty sad when you can hang a whole queen and it's still... No, maybe you're lost here. You can't be lost here. Holy shit. You're lost here. He missed bishop takes g3. That's pretty sad, dude. The guy has 2 minutes left and he's not taking your queen. He's so playing for time that he's not taking your queen there. And you have mate in 10. It's just ridiculous, you know. Alright, but good game. Astrobait is up next. No, sorry, Mule Skinner. Mule Skinner, I have to get the game from his study. Here. Another game. Alright, there was some analysis in the study, so I was having trouble. Let me see if it'll copy over. Add a new chapter. Sorry, I was about to sneeze, guys. Got a lot of allergens in Central Europe. It worked! Central Europe is the allergen capital of European continent right now. South Central Eastern Europe. A lot of pollen and shit. Alright. This is a 3-game. No, this is 3rd game for my best ever tournament in Denmark. Oh. So this is actually recent? Your allergies have gotten worse with age. My son has really bad allergies out of nowhere this year. Worse, way worse. He was dying. We have extremely high ragweed count because like they don't destroy it in Hungary. Hungary, this area has like the worst ragweed in all of the world. So if you got like hay fever, it's like you don't want to come to Hungary in August. I remember I had these tournaments years ago when I first was exposed to it, where it was at the Chess Federation in the summer, and I was like, I was nonstop sneezing. I couldn't stop. There was these like sneezing fits where I sneezed like 20 times in a row. I'd like go out of the Chess Federation and sneeze like 20 times and come. I never had anything like that before. All right, Skanderberg, EMT 2023. Lester Nygaard versus Mule Skinner. All right. Antonio just tipped $5. Well done. We're up to 1205. 70 more points, and we've got my first ever official rating. Loratadine. Is that for mood swings or allergies? Okay, so this is Mule Skinner playing French. You know, Nimzovich versus Systemson. I'm just kidding, Nedog. Thank you. I'll tell you one thing that drives me crazy trying to play the French. How do you guys keep your sanity with people playing the exchange variation? Mr. Coffee, I know it drives him crazy. I swear to God, man, if I was to play the French online, I'm going to just take with the queen. Screw it, you know? I wouldn't even play d5 here. No, that doesn't work so easily. I know Emil Skinner, but you can't do that in every case. It's not that simple. I prefer to just play the Scandinavian. I'm going to just like take with my queen on d5. I've had enough, you know? I mean, I know this is not correct, but that's the point I've reached where I can't take it anymore. You know, people doing pawn takes pawn. I'm just kidding, but I mean, I'm half kidding. My point is, like, if you want to win in chess, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and nobody talks about it. Okay, you're not going to hear about it from Noel Studer or Eric Rosen or somebody like that. If you want to win in chess, you've got to think about creating imbalance in the pawn structure. I thrive on imbalance in the pawn structure. If you give me a totally symmetrical pawn structure, it's taking part of the game away, you know? Part of the dynamism of the game is imbalanced pawn structures. So if you get this, it's like kills the game immediately. Yes, you can still castle queenside. That's the only other way to dynamize the position other than sacrificing material. But it's hard, you know? But if you can create a pawn structure where there's imbalance, that ups the ante right away, you know? Obviously, this is not the best Scandinavian ever. But all I'm trying to do is make a point. We want to emphasize trying to make imbalance. And by the way, if you guys want to try something else, I've been experimenting a lot with like knight e7 lately. I'd like to play knight e7, and then we're hoping for like an advanced variation or something like that. No, but white shouldn't do that. I'm just kidding. Knight e7 is just crappy, but all right. And I'm not even drinking alcohol. See, the best move for white is pawn takes pawn. It's just disgusting. The best move is pawn takes pawn. I would never play pawn takes pawn as a first choice and argue that it's a good move. I like knight c3 better. Yeah, your opponent played knight c3. And then, you know, I don't think you should go d4 here. It seems to me that there's one move, the move you played. d4 is a totally another structure. Don't put yourself in a structure you don't normally play. You know, French players should not play this. By the way, Uber Driver, I saw something like that recently. It wasn't this position, but it was something very similar. That's a weird thing, you know, like, yeah, somebody did that somewhere. I saw something similar. But I don't want to play like Frank Marshall, okay? Enough of the Frank Marshall stuff. I mean, there are other people I'd rather play like more than Frank Marshall. I would take like Pillsbury over Marshall probably. Alright, knight c3, knight f6, best move. Now again, we're going to get a lot of pawn takes. Pawn cakes. And now, Harry Lamman would play c6. No, this is not a good version of Harry's gambit. So now we're screwed, right? If we take with the pawn, we have a French exchange. And if we take with the knight, they're going to like trade knights on d5. Anybody who does that should be like banned from chess tournaments for life. Like, I know this guy, Fodre Shandor. He is an old dude who played on my team for a year or two. Can you imagine playing knight takes d5? Why even play chess at all, you know? It's a really strange thing to do. It's just so sick that anybody would play that move. It's not such a bad player. He's played some interesting games, but I don't know what he was thinking. He just didn't want to play that day. He lost to another 2200. Ridiculous. Yeah, pawn takes pawn kills the game, but luckily he played e5. So this is Nimzovic's like favorite line. Uber driver mentioned Nizovic earlier. I don't know about knight e4. Might be something you could throw out there for a, something different. And Goichu could play knight g8. But this is the main line. Now d4. And now c5. But this is like two knights variation. But famously, Nizovic played it for white. Now I will say there are two different ways that white can play this. You have to be more inclusive. Let people play what they want. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That means we have to let them play the London system? Oh, man. So, by the way, c5 isn't the only move. It's the classic move. I would imagine a6 is interesting. I'm not sure about b6. There are other options, for sure. Yeah, well, Neta will be in charge of the music and computer science departments at 4Q. But comedy, I don't know if we have a department for that. c5. Now, basically, there's two ways for white to play. One in which he castles kingside, and one in which he castles queenside. That's all I really kind of understand. This is sort of universal. This is Nizovic's most fundamental kind of move that, is his legacy. I mean, trading off the center to use the central squares. Basically, it goes against the fundamental principles of strengthening your center and building a pawn center. And this is why Nizovic was considered to be like a charlatan or whatever. The classicists didn't like him because he's doing a move that you shouldn't do. You're not allowed to take away from the center. But he was a creative thinker. This move though, this is weird. See, Miloš Perunović. I have never looked at bishop g5. I didn't know this is even a move. But it doesn't look right to me. I mean, it's clearly not right. This isn't even a question. You don't need to be a brain surgeon to realize bishop g5 is not a good move. It goes against logic. It's not like black has to play f6 or something. Black doesn't have to play f6 or bishop e7, so that's the problem. It's like if black had to play f6 or bishop e7, bishop g5 might be a good move. As you can see, there are 3 squares available to the black queen here. And I would wager... I would be willing to wager that even queen c7 is not bad. Queen c7 allows knight b5. But I would bet you that even that's not a total catastrophe. Not optimal to allow it, but... Yeah, bishop g5 is just strange. Zafarli played this? Who the hell is that? Golizade? What is that? What is a Golizade? Is that some kind of Golizade versus Ipatov? It's some kind of Turkish player named Golizade. It sounds like a Japanese monster movie. Golizade. Perunović versus Golizade. That's the real Perunović. Not easy to take out Nikola Sedlak. And Zafarli played it. He's creative. But other than that, it drops off pretty quickly. Some random young... Another Iranian, George Moore. Yeah, I mean, I don't like this man. This seems trashy for white. Well, what's the point? Like queen a5? For example, like queen a5. What the heck is white doing? You know? I don't understand this for white. At queen b6, knight a4? Or what? That doesn't even work? What's the deal with knight a4? Queen a5 check then, and then c3. So what did you do? You played queen b6. Okay, so this is the point now? Belizadeh. I know Ipatov was living in Turkey and playing in the like Turkish team championship, and that's the first I heard of him. I guess there's quite a few Russians that play in the Turkish team championship. They have a strong team championship there. Surprisingly, with the economy the way it is in Turkey, I was surprised they would be able to sponsor a strong team championship. D takes c5. I guess this is the point now. But anyway, like looks like queen a5 is interesting. Queen a5 was always bad. Can I just see the computer? Is queen c7 that stupid? Damn, it's a move. See, I'm a genius. I knew it. Like, there's not a single game with queen c7. Because people just make this assumption, like, oh, it must be bad because of knight b5. But seriously, like, this isn't a good move either for white. I'm not surprised this is the second best move according to the engine. I thought it would be the third best move, honestly. But wow. Black's better after queen c7. Theoretical novelty. Come on, man. I just made a constructive move while you put your bishop on g5. And if knight b5 doesn't work, I'm playing a6 next move. I just basically got a free tempo. I just refuted the whole variation. So let's see, seriously. Queen c7. If you looked on lichess, there's probably a million games. Knight b5, then queen b6. And now white needs to find some creative move. Okay, a6, knight c6. No, the point is like this isn't good. White has to play bishop e3. That's kind of embarrassing. So this is totally valid, like alternate. I just can't believe these guys seriously played bishop g5 with white. What kind of move is that? It's garbage. Queen b6, d takes c5, bishop c5. Okay, now obviously we have to watch knight a4. I guess knight a4 would be a pawn sacrifice. Possibly more. So bishop takes check. And then my head hurts. Can I go home? King d2. I mean, wow, we're looking at like absurd possibilities. We might as well at least consider this. Queen a5 check. c3. And then black is not winning piece. Because the bishop on f2, I don't know. So, alright, bishop takes c5, queen d2. This is the point. See, all these guys are playing this, like counting on this. Bishop takes f2 has been played. Wow. Okay, there's a Juan roll game. He's an IM from Venezuela. Subtarshi with white. Journeyman IM. Queen f2, queen b2, bishop d2. It's a trap e pawn sack. I feel like this is what black wants. I mean, what white wants, almost. Queen b6, it's the best line though, clearly the best line. Queen b6, wow, d takes c5, bishop takes, queen d2, and now knight c6 is the best move. Yul Skinner, did you find this or know this over the board? I didn't even know this variation existed, although I'm not a French player. They could have confused me, man. It's basically a trashy, trappy line. But you found your way to the best possible variation. So now he's supposed to sack a pawn. I mean, that totally makes sense. It's a pawn sack. Bishop takes f2. This looks dangerous for black. Knight a4. And not surprisingly, white won a whole bunch of games here. Why else would Safarli play it? You know, this Iranian guy. But your opponent went with knight a4. And Moore lost against Sebenik too. But he played... Sebenik played bishop. He's one of the turtles, right? Bishop takes f2 check, king d1. White couldn't improve enough compensation. Queen takes f2, queen a4. Well, I mean, his king is also questionable. White sacked a pawn, and his king isn't, like, really that safe. So you played instead just queen c7. I mean, this is a solid move. But it's basically reminding me of the Nimzo. This is an interesting moment in the game here. He ends up trading the bad bishop for your good bishop. But I'm sorry, I lost track of how many pawns white was losing after bishop takes e3. I'm sorry, I don't understand. Bishop e3, queen e3. Dude, his e5 pawn is hanging. What the heck is happening here? How can this be right? Bishop takes e3, queen takes e3, and you didn't take this pawn in e5? So you figured it's just like not going anywhere? And you played a6. Yeah, I'm so greedy, I just want to like take it right away. But, you know, we have to look at other possibilities. You also have knight b4, don't you? Then he has to play knight, like bishop d3, only move. Seriously, if you play this, he has a choice. This is his only move. And then you have queen takes c2. That looks like lights out. I don't think white's chances of holding this like pawn down ending are that great. But I mean, I suppose that your way of playing it is reasonable as well. But white's move is inexplicable, honestly. Doesn't he have to take here? I mean, I admit his bishop on g5 is absurd, but now at least he can draw your attention away from the e-pawn for a minute. And then something like bishop f4. Knight e4. No, this doesn't look as simple. I don't know where to put his queen, though. Because you have that threat again of going here. He does have a kind of problem there. Well, I mean, maybe he doesn't have time. Maybe he just has to, like, sack a pawn or something. Queen e3 right away. Okay. That's not such an easy move to find. But yeah, that's weird that he played bishop e3. I mean, he's just basically losing a pawn. My only reservation is that this puts more pawns on light squares. And it slightly weakens your dark squares. You're winning a pawn, but you're slightly weakening your structure in the process. Castles. Okay, bishop d3. You know, your caution here is pretty extreme. You know, you're being Michael Basman. We can get, like, John Malkovich to teach, like, theater at Fork U. You can, or you can have a class in being Michael Basman at Fork University. Playing a6 and h6. When it's not absolutely necessary. I mean, here he doesn't even have a Greek gift. I mean, I think you're exaggerating a bit, you know? Like, knight takes e5, what is he going to do? You're probably being too cautious at this point. But I mean, h6 could hurt you, though. You know, the g4, g5 comes down. I mean, these moves have drawbacks, don't forget. Say h4. Rook h3. Yeah, I'm not sure rook h3 really fits in that well here. I think he should castle queenside or something. He lets you trade queens. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Well, at least he didn't trade on e5. And now the question is, you have a chance to trade queens, but you have to fix this pawn structure. Would you do it? Yeah, I mean, I probably would reluctantly play queen takes e3 too. You never know what the computer will say. There is d4 as well. We have to look at d4. No, I agree. You're much better in the game, but you fixed this pawn structure slightly. Main priority is to get your pieces out and guard your king here on the open g file. This is not that easy. I kind of wish you hadn't castled now. It's tempting to play something like rook d8 with the idea of king f8 and evacuate. What would UberDriver do? b5 2. I think you got to be careful. There's also knight e5, but I do think he would probably avoid the exchange. Yeah, this is passive. I'm not sure if you have anything better or not. If we had played like rook d8, rook g3, king f8, rook g1, now we probably have to hold our noses and play this, and things get a little scary now. After f4, white's starting h5, or maybe h5 first. You can try to blast it open. Yeah, we can try to blast it open while you're behind in development. There could be some complications. Not so easy. But I would look to see if you really play this part accurately. Like this, I don't like this. I don't like our king ending up on h8 out of play. You know, it seems like white has some significant compensation now. I don't think you played this optimally. But now white, you know, white gets kind of afraid of knight h5. I'm not sure if he should prevent you from playing knight h5. Because if you play knight h5, your knight gets stuck out there and he can play bishop e2 like later. Maybe he should force you to play knight h5. Rook d1 here. Move the rook and then threaten bishop e2. You even have to consider this is horrible, obviously. You know, so I'm not thrilled about this. Rook g2. Now apparently you have to play rook g8. You have to be very careful here. Rook g8. If bishop e2, you go back. It's going to be a process to unravel this extra pawn. But I really wish our king wasn't stuck on the side of the board. Bishop e2, b5. Now again, he has a grip on the dark squares, but bishop f3, rook c8. You might also consider b8, but it's probably not necessary. Okay, here, here, here. That's obviously not optimal. Knight e2, good move. And now a5. It's like a Sicilian now. Knight d4, b4, b3. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't want necessarily this, but what can he do? And now knight e8 to regroup. Of course. Okay, white doesn't have a clear plan. I think he should probably try to play a3 somehow. Then he'll get mated on the a file. He has some compensation. This is not an easy practical win. That's really a good move, though. You got rid of the strong knight on d4, and you're a clear pawn up. Again, he has to try to play for a3. He's really doing nothing. What the heck is that? Like, seriously, rook d2? if you're white in this position and you're down a pawn, you got to try to do something. I guess he wanted to play rook d4. Bro. Now he has to play e4. Doesn't happen. Oh, man. So, e4. Better late than never. If e4, you have rook c3. It's pretty awkward for white. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he's going to make it. Maybe this. But you're still, like, massively better. But here you could just play, like, bishop here. I'm not sure I want to go into the rook ending necessarily. Although it's probably good enough. You're probably winning here. But I always prefer to keep bishops on the board because they're more decisive than rooks. Okay, you got a similar type of ending. White is got 2 breaks. A3 looks, he has to prepare it by moving his king first. And he did it. Oh, he can't do it though. He's dropping a pawn. Oh my god. Wow. So, well, objectively, he should try something else, like h5 or something. Probably. I don't know what to suggest here. I guess he's lost now. He's just lost. It's a very bad, yeah. It's a bad ending. There's like no chance of survival. Good game. Overall, good game. I do think you should look back, though, in the middle, and I think you can play that. The early middle game, or the queenless middle game, could be like better. Henry K. Daniel. Yeah, I mean, I think we've got to find a little bit of a better way to play that. I don't want to end up with our king on h8, ideally. If you go back to the trade of queens, I mean, this should be lights out position, but the computer might make a case for not trading queens. I don't know. It does do d4. Well, I think the d4 was committal. This is a very strong pawn on d5. I wouldn't play this move lightly. But I did mention it, and I do think it's something that you should seriously consider. Because this structure, you know, is so bad compared to this structure that it might be worse. It might be worth like weakening your own pawn to get it. Anyway, all right, onward and upward. We've got more games to go. Astrobate. ABCFIGM. It's cool you submitted a game against Cobra 11. He's been on my stream. He's played on my stream before. And I think he's a streamer too. And then Snedsteg. So nice win over Lester Nygaard there in the Skanderborg EMT 2023 round 3 from Yul Skinner. Good job. Spanish crushing it in Denmark. Did I do Morales? Yeah. All right, so we got Astrobate up. We'll see what we got. Nice to see you, Henry. Harry the H-Pawn. Thanks for those of you who did donate. $5 from Antonia Morales, bringing us up to 2205. Our rating is increasing. The money rating. It's basically the money rating and the real rating are going to meet around 2200. But maybe if we go over 2300, we can surpass our maybe who says we can't surpass our donation goal before the World Senior? Maybe we get up to 2329. Now I've got a donation goal of 2200. Just it's total coincidence. My donation goal is 2,200 for the World Senior, and I thought it was funny because it's like the minimum rating for Master, and that's where my rating is slowly going to go down to as I get older and older. I haven't crossed under the 2,300 barrier yet, but one day when I'm old, I have that fear. All right, Acerbate, you're playing black. What's up for a Nimzabitch? It's Sophia 0406. Only even numbers against Acerbate. This is game 30. We've got the Sicilian, Hyper Accelerated Dragon, and then G3. I have faced this from time to time. You're 40 and improved. Oh, yeah, I was talking about this guy. It was weird. There's a thing I didn't understand. Oh, there's some guy in the World Senior Players list who's an IM I never heard of from the UK, and I looked it up, and he had made his IM title at age 60. He suddenly got his rating over 2,400 FIDE at age 60 in 2017. After his whole life, he was never over 2,400. My assumption is that he must have been a strong FM who didn't play chess, or strong FM strength, spent his whole life working, come back to chess after he retired, and got to 2,400. That's not easy to do. He must have had IM norms from before, so the likelihood is he had 3 IM norms, never made the rating, and then got his rating over at age 60, or age 58 or 60, I think it was. The thing that irritates me was here's a guy who's higher rated than me, and he has a 20k factor. He was it's really irritating, Okay, he's gone over now. He shouldn't have the K factor 20 anymore. Once you go over 2,400, you get a K factor of 10, and then you're condemned to your rating never changing for the rest of your life. There are a few exceptions. There was one Hungarian IM who never had a published rating over 2,400. And if you do that, then you can keep your K factor of 20 even though you're an IM. And you've technically gone over 2,400. A 20k factor is wonderful. You have a risk of losing points, but it's also easier to gain points. Okay, Acerbate, good luck. Bishop G7, Bishop G2, Knight C6. Now normally what we get here is King's Indian attack. If White wanted to play the closed Sicilian, they could have played Knight C3 a long time ago. So this is not something you're going to commonly see. Notice the database. The Opening Explorer has 387 games with castles, 31 with D3, and 6 with Knight C3. Yeah, because people who play this move order are not generally playing a typical closed Sicilian. Well, I think the problem, Henry K. Daniel, isn't about, people make this mistake that they think that older players can improve because they're old. It's not about being old. It's about how much responsibility you have in your life. It's not about age per se, but most older people don't have time or, the time to invest in it. If you're retired at age, 50 or something, then maybe it's a different story. So Acerbate played Knight F6 here. You're open to... All setups are available to black here. D6, E5, E6, or Knight F6. Even Rook B8, or Knight H6, or some weird moves like that. Knight F6 is fine. Gallego versus Yubaba. Speaking of people with stable moods, I was talking about mood stabilizers today. I was thinking, I had a funny thought today. That Badr Yubaba would make a great, He would make a great, how do you call, like a tech support guy, where someone calls in, you know, and they ask you for help. You have to be very patient. Right? Can you imagine Baduri Baba being a tech support guy? Hello. Yes, can I help you? Fuck you. Alright. Castles, d3, and then Asterbate broke the center with d5. Brave. That's fine. d5's fine. So what do we got here? An English of sorts. Rip Andras Shadorian passed away earlier this year. Knight d5, queen d5, and then the worst move ever. You what? You take what? I thought you just recommended that mood stabilizer for allergies, dude. You just recommended the drug for allergies. Now it's for like mood stabilizers and allergies. Unbelievable. Cures everything. It's some kind of like 15-letter L word. I can't remember, man. Nelek has like a drugstore full of shit. It is in his like bathroom cabinet or something. Dude, is your like wife a pharmacist or something? Alright, he's Mexican. What can we do, right? Alright, your opponent is like banned from chess for this move, Asterbate. This is the move. It's as bad as your e5 in the Sicilian. This is horrible for white. That's like basically positionally losing. Like, it would be challenging for white to even survive after this move. It's so bad. 52 is young. Man, that makes me feel better. I'm almost there. I was reading this article today about Alex Ramirez. Alex Rodriguez. And he was like well, he ratted out like other MLB players to the DEA. But apparently in his heyday he was getting all kinds of like Viagra and shit from his doctor friends just for fun. You hooking him up or and that was before J-Lo. We'll study this all at 4Q a little bit later in the sex ed department. But alright, c4. Asterbate, there's no reason to play queen d8 here. This move is too passive. What you want to do is, it's funny, Asterbate had almost the same exact game in another game, and he did queen h5. It's unbelievable. How can you play queen h5 in one game and queen d8 in the other? The other was an English, where this pawn was on e2. So I honestly, like, it makes more sense now. You know, it makes less sense to play queen h5 in another position. It would still have some benefit here, I guess. You're threatening bishop g4. But I mean, this is our main move. Probably actually queen d7. Probably actually queen d7. Is there a problem here, officer? After bishop e3, I can snap this pawn. Maybe white could sack the exchange, but I wouldn't really buy that. Or b6, is this an issue? I mean, at the very least, yeah, I'm not believing this. But anyways, I don't know. You have options here. Queen d6, bishop f4, e5, tempo. Tempo, Badur. Alright. Try to stay on the subject, Nidog, of chess. Queen d7, queen d6, queen d8 is you're not getting any, you're not deriving any benefit from your queen. You know, even the queen f5 is good. I'll be damned if this isn't even one of black's best moves. Whereas against the pawn and e2 structure, it's not very good, and it blocks your bishop. You got the queen square, the sort of the shelf. Aspie knows about this too. The outskirts of the center. The queen is powerfully centralized anywhere inside, you know, of the center, the greater center. But you would keep an eye on the d3 pawn here. Despite blocking your bishop, it's not such a bad move either. I think queen d8 is my least favorite move. Literally, of all the options you have here. And obviously queen e6 is weird, but of queen h8, you know, queen h5, queen d7, queen d6, queen d8, I think queen d8 is my least favorite option. Bishop e3, boom. And now white should seriously consider sacking the exchange. But after bishop c5, bishop a1, queen a1, queen takes c3. I don't really think we want to drop this pawn necessarily. However, you know, I don't think there's an option here. We have to take the exchange. Normally I don't always want to take that, but we're not up any pawns yet. I think we have to take the material. But it would be a practical try for white to sack the exchange in a blitz game. Instead, you know, obviously they blundered. And white has to prepare this with like rook b1, or I don't know what to suggest. Well, white has a bad position, period, end of story. They played c4. I mean, it's hard to justify their position. What are you going to do? Like, here, this, or... You've got too many weak pawns, you know? You can't cover it all. So, and then bishop d4. But that should be... Yeah, I guess you don't have an option, really. You have to go to d4. Yeah, she's right, actually. Huh. Now this is a little bit making me think like we made a mistake here. Well, you shouldn't have played queen d8. If here, 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 here. I mean, we don't need to win a pawn right away to have a big advantage. The idea is there's pressure here. We have a lot of pressure on white's position. I mean, how is he going to defend d3? I mean, after this, we're just like winning a pawn. So we'll see, but okay. Now at least he gets your bishop. Now we have a really big decision. I support your decision to play knight takes d4, but the b7 is hanging. Yeah, no, I don't know, man. Maybe you have to take with the pawn, and then this is kind of sketch. It looks like white has some serious compensation here, Asterbate. I don't love this. I don't think like you're better. I think that black's only equal. It looks like objectively after knight takes d4, bishop takes b7. I don't know about rook takes b7. Not enough, probably. So knight takes d4, bishop takes b7. Bishop takes b7, rook takes b7, rook on the 7th. She's going to take out your knight at some point. In fact, she should probably take it right away. So like takes, queen takes, bishop takes b7, rook b8, bishop takes c8, rook takes c8, and white is equal. Or almost equal. So you let it slip, man. You were lucky here. Now you played rook b8. And then, it really makes no sense. Well, anyway, I don't think you have anything now. White should be okay. There is a nasty threat. I think white should hold on, though. Rather than play bishop e4, maybe she should just take the knight, the nasty knight. White should hold on here. It's only minus point something. The knight is too strong. It needs to go. And now, okay, you're a tiny bit better, maybe. Not clear what that did. And after bishop takes c5, it's totally nothing. So now basically, white is effectively better with the bishop versus knight and pawns on both sides. You totally screwed this up. Wow, and she even had the queen before. But Aspie will not be deterred. He doesn't go passive and play knight d6. See, I was saying earlier today, like, the most important thing in chess is really, like, we only go passive as a last resort. This is a good move, dude. You've got e4. You've got stuff like knight here attacking the white squares. Queen and knight combo. The materialist, the first thought is this. Oh my god, I'm going to lose a pawn. This is a very good call. And it shows the coordination of the queen and knight. Now, rook c1. Queen takes c4 check. There's also possible knight d2 or knight e5. So you have like a bunch of different options here. Queen takes e4 check, getting her pawn back. I mean, that would be my first choice. And then obviously if f3, you have queen e2 check, bishop f2, and then knight e3 check, and you're better. The queen takes f3. There's some minor threat here. Black's probably winning now. So I don't see why you wouldn't take on e4 with check. That's the best move, probably. This doesn't seem that good because of bishop e3. Then again, you're risking losing. So it looks like clearly queen takes e4 check. Okay, I guess she would play this. After king g1, white is okay. Yeah, actually, this is a problem. Okay, good call. This doesn't work. You're right. You're right. Queen takes c4 check, king g1, and you're in trouble. Okay, good call. You can't play queen takes c4 check. The knight isn't stable. Knight e5, there's a problem with that, though. White can play bishop e3 again. Now we've got to go in maybe here. But after knight e5, she played this move. Check. King h1. Yeah, h1 is a very strange choice. Looks like g2 is relatively stable. King is better placed on g2, controlling more squares. White also has moves like rook c3, maybe, in some positions. I think with this point, white should be able to draw. It's a draw. But king h1 is like not a great square. And also she can get pinned on the c-file, I just realized. I think your knight is decent, but what to do now? f5? If you're crazy, You might try f5, carve out the square, check, trade queens, and then like your pawns are hanging, so it's still a draw. I wouldn't be surprised if that was your best move. After king h1, f5. Is there a problem? Wow. It's dangerous according to the engine. So you're better here. You have a move. Oh, the pin. Wow, the pin works. Wow, I didn't think this was a big deal. You know, I suggested it, but I thought White could just like move out of the pin. Holy crap. How did he get out of the pin? White really had to try to lose this game. I mean, king h1 for absolutely no reason. This is obviously safer. It's like you're trying to helpmate yourself with queen f1. Now, why would you do that? They wanted to stay away from the checks, but in so doing, like, they left these squares, like... She actually left herself weaker rather than stronger on h1. And then you missed it. You had rook c8. With some ideas of like rook takes c5 to draw the queen away. But you played this move. Oh, okay. This cheapo. Check here, here, here. That's a problem. I guess she was expecting like queen h1 check. Damn. So needless to say, White should be careful here, and bishop e3 is one possibility. I think this should be considered. Alright, we got lucky. Bishop takes e7, check here. That's a funny mate though. Alright, Astrobate, FIGM versus Cobra and Steadstag are our last two games for today. We'll be back tomorrow, guys, with rapid challenges to get up to 1300. The road to 1300. That should be my analysis, or my title for tomorrow. Alright. ABC FIGM versus Cobra 11. We're going to play the Tartakover Queen's Gambit? No, good. Something different. Hey, Batman. Does your face hurt? Masturbate? Ten-minute game. Say what? Your opponent has an hour and 10 minutes. Is this like a simul? Well, who's doing the simul? Him or you? Depends on your repertoire. I mean, against this particular move order, you know, it's annoying when people play d4, knight f6, knight c3. But if you're playing d4, d5, knight c3, you know, don't forget that you can play c5. And you're a d4 player. Hans Mookie. Hans Mookie. Mook. I think it's better to just call him Mook. Hans Mook. It doesn't really have a meaning, but it sounds kind of like derogatory. So c5, you should consider adding to your repertoire. Knight f6. And now, white has the gambit e4, bishop f4, bishop g5, and that's about it. I mean, basically white has 3 moves. e4 is like it's like an unsound sort of, it's basically not better than the, I mean, it's just a way of playing the Black Mardemer, basically. Except you give black an extra possibility of knight takes e4. It's an inferior black redeemer. It's really like white only has two moves. I mean, bishop f4 and bishop g5. e4 is not, it's not a good move. You think it's best strategy after bishop b2? Challenge that with the opposite bishop right away? I mean, no, I never think about it that way. No, I wouldn't. I say it's a strategy. It's not like the best strategy. So he plays knight f3. This is bad because of c5. I think that white's going to have to play very actively after this. I don't think bishop f4 is a good line here, although it seems to be the move with the best score. You should definitely play c5 now. I'm trying to gain an advantage here. No, c5 is good. You're playing a reverse Chigorin. D takes c5, and then either knight c6 or e6. I'm not sure. Black is at least equal. But if, for example, like bishop f4, I don't understand why black isn't like better here. Why can't you play c takes d4? It's like c takes d4, no games. I mean, this isn't a move. I have queen a5 check. I don't think I fully understand this. I mean, this is like a bad line. Why is there no c takes d4? Am I missing something? I don't understand. Knight takes d4? This like sucks for white. White's only slightly worse. So the engine argues for queen takes d4, but I still like black. And it's even shocking that there's no games. Can somebody explain to me how like no one played c takes d in this position? There's 18 games in the master database and not a single person played c takes d. Well, I guess the point is like knight c6 is even better. But it's not really clear, you know, to me that that's necessarily the case. Is it better? Yeah, I guess d takes c5 allows d4. But I mean, the jury's out on this. The bishop on f4 doesn't seem right to me. I don't think that white should play that. You know, you're better off just playing like e3 or something. e3, a3, knight a2 like Rockport. Take on c5. Maneuver knight a2, b4. I don't know, man. This is not a good line for white. But e6 is conservative. Now bishop g5. Yeah, so now it's like transposed. It's transposed as some kind of weird variation. Or at least he got his bishop out. You know, I think he should have played c5 first. Maintain the tension. Fork University. We'll all be alumni of Fork U. So bishop e7 is solid. Would bishop takes f6 transpose to a French? Bishop f6. Bishop takes f6. e4. We're basically transposing to a kind of lame Trompowsky or French for white. Obviously black is in no danger here. And after e3, he played h6. I mean, while it's not necessarily a bad move, you're playing the Queen's Gambit. He just hasn't played c4. He does. It's funny. Basically, ABC FIGM is playing as if he's playing the black side of the Tartikover Queen's Gambit. It's not quite the same, though. I think white has more attacking prospects in this type of Veresov, where it's like 95, like a Stonewall type of thing. When you play h6, you slightly weaken your king side. It's going to be hard to play f6 later on. I would prefer not to play h6 here, to be honest. You can see there's a bunch of games with knight bd7, but I mean, Doesn't seem necessary either. I mean, another possibility is b6. This can't be bad. I don't think that b6 can be bad. Castles is fine. Main move. And then b6, probably coming up. But I think you should avoid playing h6. It's not the queen's gambit. It's also more likely white could get away with castling queenside in some kind of attacking system. Whereas in the queen's gambit, that's not as correct. You know, I think you get away with that h6 more. Less so here. Yeah, the h4 crazies. So I prefer not to weaken my king side. But there's some solid players here. Brian Kelly, Bakaturo. There's at least two strong players who have played this with black. You know, you may transpose. You're close to transposing to something normal, I guess. Surprising there's no games from this position. But now I really wish we hadn't played h6. You could be getting into a difficult situation. It's a strong stonewall type of thing. Harry Niss and Pillsbury happy with white here. See, Pillsbury would like white's position. Uber Driver would like white's position. This is a big issue, you know, the fact that we played h6. Can I take that move back? I just want to take back h6. But it seems like white now has to think. I don't know what the best plan is. I mean, this seems to me like the standard plan. 92, we transfer, you know, we can meet c5 with c3. And then this guy goes over here somewhere. That's the standard Rogozin sort of maneuver, you know. Get the knight out of the way of the c-pawn. But your opponent did what? He took. So this changes the dynamic here a bit. He's not obligated to do that, although it may not be a bad move. I like to say this bishop radiates power through the pawn. It has radiation. It's radioactive. A lot of people just dismiss it as a bad piece, but every time you move that pawn, capture down the line, the bishop gets stronger and stronger. There was a great game I've shown on various lessons where it was Rashevsky versus Evans from a U.S. championship, like in the 50s, and Sammy got a huge initiative. It was a Tartakover, in fact. Queen takes c7, knight takes c4, d takes c4, bishop b5, and then, yeah, you see, he fell for this tactic with queen b4. There's just no reason for him to take on e4. If knight e2, he just waits and he's patient, you know. And if you play knight takes c5, he's got, you know, the f-file pressure. If you take if you play c5, he plays c3. And like, you can never play f6 because of knight g6. So it seems like white's better. Pillsbury versus FIGM. Not so sure I like black. But Cobra 11, I guess, miscalculated. This is very obvious. Got this pawn grab. So queen b4. Now, I famously did like rook f6 in some game long time ago, in a position where it was totally not justified. But I mean, what is white supposed to do here? I mean, why are we not grabbing this pawn? I seem like so materialistic, but this isn't just about winning a pawn. You're, you know, winning a pawn and ravaging his pawn structure at the same time. What's he gonna do? You're not only winning a pawn, you're gaining a friend. And that's what Fork University is all about. Queen b4. I don't even see a good move for white. You know? What's his best move? Like a4? I mean, what is he going to play? Queen e2 blocks his own bishop. I mean, I guess he could do it, but... Now you've got this square. Or I guess a3 and then back. And the e3 pawn is weak. I mean, c5 is a good move, but I mean, I'm going to take for the door number 2. You missed it. I'm surprised. So okay, this is FIGM's weakness. I mean, he's a very, very strong player now. You know, getting strategically better and better, but missing opportunistic tactics is important. You know, you're winning the game after queen b4. After c5, you just equalized, maybe. I'm not even sure you equalized. And now he's okay. Oh my god. The Red Baron. You transposed to Miles versus Plaskett 1999. Some kind of old British championship. Miles, huge favorite there, but the Red Baron. Alright. For those of you who don't know that Jim Plaskett, although he's mostly famous for like blaming his buzzer in Who Wants to Be a Millionaire for malfunctioning, famously wore this like extremely annoying like huge red scarf against me in a tournament game on the Hastings Pier. It was just like, I don't know how anybody can wear something like that. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was like the most red, giant red scarf I've ever seen. It was embarrassing almost. But anyway, so I call him the Red Baron now. a6, and then bishop e2. He wrote books? Are you sure Jim Plaskett has written books? About what? Like how to win $1 million when your buzzer malfunctions? I didn't know of him writing any good chess books. Bishop a2. Bishop e2. Bishop a4 was chosen by Miles. Now this move looks better because you have the targeting here. White has better targeting, the e4 pawn. Queen g4 and bishop c2, and white can, you know, it looks like white is better. Apparently not enough to win, but actually, man, Miles, I played Miles quite a few games in Rapid, and as I've said many times, he's famous for playing weird openings, but the guy's endgame technique was brutal. He would just like kill me in endgame technique land. You know, it was very instructive. Bishop e2, though, it's kind of passive by white. Now queen g5. Now, yeah, you stole the thunder here to some degree. I mean, I guess he has rook f4, though. Realistically, this is not a problem. And now, moment of truth. Is this a problem? Is this a problem? And is this a problem? En passant. Your opponent didn't know en passant was a legal move. My assessment is that you would have taken with the rook, not to lose a queen. And on rook takes f6, what is our plan? To take with the pawn or with the queen? White did something wrong? I'm not so sure. But he could have taken en passant. You know, after pawn takes f6, rook takes f6, what do you do? Pawn takes. Keep pressure on this. And white doesn't really have a convenient way of defending that e3 pawn. That's not great. White has other moves, though, they could play that are interesting. Queen b3. I don't like black's pawn structure. You know, I'll just say it. The radioactive bishop could come through if we can clear it, but look at the bishop. Well, exactly. Well, I thought you said like white did something wrong. No, but I mean, don't be too biased against the bishop on b7. It's not that bad. I just don't know if f5 is necessary here. I mean, objectively, it's possible. I mean, Plaskett drew against Miles, and Miles played bishop a4, which is probably better than bishop e2. I don't think the black is like lost here. I think he just has to be careful. His bishop is, isn't that much worse than the white bishop. I mean, the white bishop looks good, but what does it do? This bishop is scoping up to d5, the wooden shield. Maybe f5, maybe queen g5 is a mistake, actually. Well, Plaskett's move, which was played against bishop a4. Let's see if that was a better move, by the way. The computer, doesn't really know for sure if it likes bishop. It doesn't like bishop a4. It thinks like Miles just wasted time. Interestingly, black is better after b5. I'm surprised that Miles didn't play bishop c2. So a6 bishop e2 is actually an improvement on Miles. I mean, this is not clear to me, but I like this queen g5. And then f5 is bad. So f5 is seriously bad. Okay, he had queen b3 just like winning a pawn, it looks like. So ABC needs to work on his tactics. You're leaving yourself wide open here to queen b3. Black could play bishop d5. It's not going to save you. I mean, there are some interesting and crazy things like this, for example. This and then this. This isn't going to work, is it? Queen takes e3. I don't think we have enough here, but it's kind of entertaining to think about. Bishop d5, just take the pawn. And this is hanging. But if black could break through at the base, maybe there'd be something there. This doesn't seem so kosher. Black has chances. But f5 was a really, really bad move. I understand you're uncomfortable with the backward pawn here. But to be frank, you got to watch out for tactics. By the way, like f6, also very weakening. I would do without it. You were lucky. I mean, bishop c4, queen e7, queen b3, takes, check, king h8. Okay, it was like a simul or something, right? Yeah, black is losing. Bishop c8, you're losing here, period. b6 is hanging. So he makes a huge mistake. I mean, bishop takes, and then take on b6, and white has two connected passers. Let's say rook takes, queen takes b6. Okay, you have a c-file, but I mean, objectively, white is winning this position. These pawns are too strong. But it was a simul, I guess, so. But by saving the b pawn, black stays alive. Wasn't good. All right, and then the last game, Seth Stagg playing white against Ardmore. Ardmore, Pennsylvania. Mr. Coffee still here? He's gone. Gone. Guys, we're going to be back tomorrow. Farewell. Last game. Starting out attacking play. Boy, that's a bestseller. Damn, dude. If there's one book that I consider indispensable, it's James Plaskett on How Not to Be a Millionaire. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I don't know the book. I just always hated him because of that. The game I lost against him and how pompous he is. He's an arrogant guy. He's just very pompous and arrogant, kind of behavior-like wise. He may be entertaining and charming in some ways, but I don't know him that well, to be fair. I wouldn't buy his books, though. But if Mr. Slow says it's good, I trust him. I don't trust Uber Driver with the book recommendations as much. Alright. Ardmore, we've got e4, knight f6, e5. Oh, black's playing the Aliakin. And now, yesterday I faced c4. c4 is annoying because it's forcing, but I wanted to play, I played this for fun the other day. The Arbakov, c4 97. Arbakov didn't do that. Yeah, I mean, 97, I had a good game with this. Someone played bishop g5 and they were lost in like 5 moves. It was pretty funny. I think it was like d6, f4, h6, bishop h4, and g5. And I had like a clear advantage or something with black. You know, don't overextend yourself or anything. But anyway, so we have d4, and not e6, but the correct move, d6. Oh, by the way, Vargasoli plays this a lot. Knight b6. That's probably a good alternative. c6 is a move too. I've played this. Too many pawn moves, right? Uber driver? c4, knight b6, and then f4. So the 4 pawns. Yeah, I think, you know... Oh, I remember there was this funny thing that happened like 25 years ago. Some guy like took Larry Christensen's name and wrote a book about the 4 pawns attack, and like he put Larry's name on the book. I mean, it's crazy. Larry's like, I never heard of this guy, and I've never written a book on the 4 pawns attack, but some guy in like Russia or something like just like stole his identity and like published a book claiming that it was like the 4 pawns attack by Larry Christensen. Very strange stuff. It sounds like something that would happen to Bobby Fischer. But what's black's best line? You know, I like g6. This is like the least explored variation, but I've been looking at this quite a bit. Knight c3, bishop g7, bishop e3, and now bishop e6. I mean, I don't know what the latest game is. Wow, Magnus played it in 2020. Christian Bauer. It's not easy to play Aliakin. I recommend not playing the Aliakin in a serious setting. I only play it when I'm like on tilt and I want to lose all my games. Oh, but he played d takes f6. Okay, d takes c5, f takes c5. And then knight c6, and then bishop e3, and then bishop f5. So this is like the main line. Knight f3, e6. You know, Repunj had submitted a game in this line a couple months ago. So, was something wrong with this position? Did we play knight f3 too early? You did. Yeah, Sensei, you're not supposed to play knight f3 this early. Knight f3 is inaccurate. This, my sir, this fine sir is inaccurate. You're supposed to play knight c3. And Morozevich Ivanchuk, that looks like a stem game. We talked about that already, Uber Driver. You were here. So I wouldn't trust this variation for black. I don't know, man. e6. It doesn't transpose exactly right. Black has independent possibilities there, no? Bishop e2. What's up with knight b4 here? That move has a good score? That can't be right. Oh, here we go. Spassky Westerinen. This isn't sound, man. It looks like it's not sound. Knight f3. What's the deal with this? Bishop e7. Maybe I saw a game in this recently. Wow. There was a game 2 weeks ago in an open. There was a small open at the tournament where I played, under 2,300. And there was a game, some Indian guy who was like 1,600 against International Master Khan Avart. And Avart was black. I'll be damned if it wasn't this line. I didn't recognize the position, but now that I see it, it looks pretty freaking familiar. I think this had to be the game. They had a game in this line. You gotta watch those Indian 1600s. They can take out IMs. He almost beat Khan. But alright, so the move order is slightly inaccurate because you give black another option, right? Black couldn't play bishop g4, could he? It's never been tried, but theoretically it's possible. That's interesting. Alright, here. And now bishop e4. I know that a lot of players play this. That's the Repunj game, which was really crazy. But I think we should definitely not play bishop e7. What is it now? This? No, this is okay. No, it's not the same. You have to play knight c3 first. Now after e6, we play bishop e2. And I just don't know that black can solve his problems. After bishop e7, knight f3. See, this is the problem. There was a game I did a video on. The Naroditsky getting crushed by Robson. Dude, it's game over, man. I don't think that this is good enough for black. I think that black has problems here. I mean, Naroditsky played really badly. He didn't know how to play. Clear he didn't understand Alyakin's defense, but... And why would you play that against a really good player in the US Championship? It's like the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. Really horrible idea. You couldn't get a worse idea. By the way, you couldn't see a better game in the Alyakin than this Robson Naroditsky. Robson, absolutely brilliant play. He made him look like an idiot. But I'd definitely take Robson over Naroditsky any day. Alright, so we got that variation is the problem. There's queen h4 check. This is bad. Well, Elvis did that. Oh my god. How to lose to a 2500. Jesus, what's he on thinking? I looked at queen d7. This is maybe a try. What else can black do? The bishop e4 stuff. The whole opening, yeah, is bad. Right. But alright, this is not as critical. Now this is playable for black. But I don't know about bishop e4. I mean bishop e7 is okay here. Now, this variation is sharp, but it's not refuted. See the top games? I mean, this is survivable. It's okay to play bishop e7 here. You know, this line will hold out. If bishop e2, no, we're going to transpose. You're right. So what does black do? Okay, queen d7. Yeah, so Mr. Slow's right in the end, right? It's going to transpose. There's bishop g4. This isn't good enough either. Hikaru played this. Bishop e7 is not good enough. Bishop g4 is not good enough. What is good enough? Queen d7. You can try to roll the dice to queen d7 and try to castle queenside. I mean, this looks dangerous, but it's a move. No, bishop e4, okay. I think this is one of black's best tries, I guess. Okay. Bishop e4, bishop d3. Is that the right idea? Well, I know you're talking about like c5 and stuff. So what's up with a3? They just take and play knight a5? You've talked about this before. I know Uber Driver. We've already seen the show. a3, bishop takes c3 check. Kangas won with black against Coolouts in 1995. There must be a problem with it. It's not bad, but it's not the best. That's the point about a3. I'm not sure if I want to trade bishops or not. Rook c1, maybe that's what it is. Nope. It's bishop e2. Wow. What did the computer want to play? Bishop f2. Oh, that's an interesting hypothetical. Okay, so it's bishop e2. The main line. Now look at these top two games. Chigayev lost with white and Ivic lost with white. Jesus Christ. Unbelievable. Okay, Ivic was still relatively lower rated at that time. He was playing Fedoseev and he was 2487. What's Fedoseev doing playing Alyakhin? And Garayev, just crazy. So bishop e2. Maybe it's better not to trade pieces if we want to win. But bishop f2 is pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting novelty. Never been played. No, black plays there. So bishop g4 is best? Yeah. So what about like bishop takes bishop? This is just horrible. Black has nothing here. I mean, it's not clear. It's not possible to trade bishops. I mean, white is clearly. We do the Sladgie squares. We have our system. Sladgie squares gonna depend on that exchange of bishops. So like a3, bishop takes c3 check, queen takes c3. Now we do a Sladgie square. We have this. And the opponent has this. Okay. But the pawns are really big. The Sladgie squares have their limitations, apparently. Don't tell Mr. Coffee. We need those pawns to drive the enemy pieces back. So bishop g4. Oh man, he just blundered. Oh my god. It's Peter Enders versus Gazik from 1982. Jeez, dude. Enders just blundered here. He later would get his GM title here in Budapest. In the early 90s. Mid-90s. Mid to late 90s. 19. In 1997. 96. Damn, dude. Missed knight takes d4. That's a brutal move. That's what happens when you overextend yourself. Wow, this guy misses it though. Castle. You know, another possibility is like bishop e4. I mean, you could even just stick your bishop on e4, probably. Knight d4 just wins outright. Game over. I beat this guy Gazik a few years ago. He's older now, but he was probably a decent player in his prime. His son is like a GM now from Slovakia. Castle a3. I mean, I think black doesn't understand that when you have less space, you want to trade pieces. You know, now he figured it out. What's up with the d4 pawn? What's up with our d4 pawn? Ah, it's a trick. Tricks are for kids, as they say. Knight f5, strongly recommended. Alternatives? How's our alternatives to knight f5 here for black? Funny that he saw knight takes d4 now, but not before. f5, anyone? It would free the flight square. You never know. Is there any chance for survival there? Not very good. I don't like our chances for black here. Alright, so knight f5 is only move. Yeah, you're winning a piece, but how much does black get? 2 pawns for a piece. He thought he had something else though, doesn't he? Wow. This is kind of cool. What is that old saying? Necessity is the mother of invention or whatever. It's some Benjamin Franklin thing. Uber driver probably knows. I mean, this looks like the obvious move, but we're gonna have an issue here. I mean, would this win though? Queen takes d4, bishop takes d4. Might be enough, huh? Rook d8. Bishop takes b6. Rook takes d3. I mean, maybe white's winning. White's winning. A takes b6 is best. It's close. But black doesn't really have quite enough compensation. White probably should win this position. But if he loses another pawn on e5, the Alyaka's defense is great. Yeah. This is interesting though. After queen takes d4, okay. But he has rook takes f5. Yeah, that's sweet. Connect 5. I think it helps if you really like focus on color complexes in chess. A lot of players, they don't look at color complex at all, but as I get more experienced, I focus more and more on this concept that there are 2 distinct color complexes on the board, and it's very, very important. It's totally underestimated in chess literature. Gaming software just got updated. That's really annoying, Microsoft Store. Thanks for letting me know. So rook takes f5, brute force. Game over. Now Shucky has a tendency. This is not Shucky. Sorry, Stensig has a tendency not to lump all Scandinavians together. He has a tendency to go a little crazy. He plays a little crazy chess sometimes. I mean, here we're up a piece, and you know, there's no reason to go crazy. I mean, you obviously got to look at like rook h5, but I mean, with Asabi, would you do that? I wouldn't do that. I mean, you got to look at it though, because it's fun. e6 is fun. You know, that's another possibility. We're gonna have to sack the exchange though. So what does white play now? Knight d5. He puts more wood on the fire. More fuel on the fire. Knight d5, knight c5, bishop c5, bishop c5 check. You know, here it's a funny move. You know, honestly, speaking of color complexes, I would be like wanting to put my king on a white square so I don't get checked. But he puts his king on h2. That's like being less aware or less concerned about color complex. c6. Now we're getting closer and closer to rook h5. Yeah, I mean, this move it's easy to see if you've been looking for that already. You know what I mean? So it's very elegant. Now black has probably rook h8, right? Then what? Do we have a follow-up? Do we have like queen h4? There's always h6. I mean, I don't know. This is a little weird. It's a little too weird for my taste. It looks like we got lucky after h6. Black didn't play rook h8, and this move is gonna make us look a little awkward with rook on h5. I think we're playing for the fans here. When we played rook h5, it's nice, but maybe white should retreat. Still the best move. So rook h5 is still the best move. Rook h8 and then just rook f1. Okay. So h6 was a blunder. Rook h6 and then it's mate. Very nice. Alright guys, good stream. Sensei, you were very quiet there. You forgot I was a piece up. Really? Well, that shows a mentality where you're not focusing on material too much, which is, I think, you're in the minority and it's a good thing. Although sometimes we go too far and I forget how many pawns I have, or I'm down a pawn and I forgot. That happened recently to me. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for your support, Mr. Slow. Those of you who subscribed, donated, tipped $5 or whatnot. Nedog, thanks for watching. Good game. The Alyakin, not so hot for black. Alright guys, I'll see you Friday. Have a great weekend if I don't see you. Friday, tomorrow morning, we're going to do some rapid challenges. Or blitz, 5-3. Bye-bye.